Hey, it's Melissa from Kiwi Banana, and today I'm going to do a video on, I guess, a very controversial topic. I sort of ummed and ahed about whether I should even dive into this issue. However, I'd like to provide a bit of information that maybe some of you have not thought about, or, you know, something for you to think about at least, especially if you are living in the United States and you're looking at making some changes to to the laws, or, whether you do, whether you don't. I guess it's something to definitely think about, especially with the recent mass shooting. Before I get any further into this, I would like to, obviously express some condolences to the victims and the families and all the other people that were affected. We visited Las Vegas about a month before it happened, and it wasn't exactly like my vibe, although I'm sure many other people enjoy going there and have a really good time. It just wasn't really my place. It's okay, I may not be back again, but that's all right. I'm sure that's all right. Anyway, one thing I did notice though while I was there is that there appears to be a lack of mental health services, and that was just from my own sort of observations. And then about a week or two after we left the place, we were actually told by other people that there is actually a huge mental health service issue there, and that they do send a lot of people to other states or neighbouring states for people to get help with some of their mental health issues. So it was quite disappointing to hear that there wasn't a lot of that sort of available. So it's, whether that has a part to play with what's happened recently, I can't say, but I do think maybe it's an issue that might need to be looked at further. Now, obviously, with what's happened, does bring up a lot of US gun law, discussions. It's, there's constitutional issues, there's federal issues, there's state-by-state issues, and, I understand that people want guns to defend themselves. I understand that police carry guns. I understand that military is a big thing in the US, and, the right to bear arms. It's very much ingrained in a lot of US culture. Not all, but of course a lot. And however, how many other westernized, developed countries do you hear about that have this many mass shootings? I mean, for me personally, I don't really know that many. There has been, obviously, can think of some in the last, 10 years or so, but it's not really like a thing that you would regularly hear of people doing things like this. Unless it's terrorists, but that's a whole other topic for another day. And I guess my take is that I wanted to provide some information about New Zealand and the use of guns in New Zealand, and I guess the way that sort of the culture there thinks about it, and just get you thinking of whether there could be of any sort of use in the way that we operate with guns in New Zealand. So the police cannot carry any guns on them. On them as on their person, as they may say. They can obviously have them though in locked spaces, like in their vehicles, at stations, so that when they need them, it's there. Although it's really has to be to the point where it's pretty much life and death. They have other weapons, if you can say, that they prefer. I guess you could use that word. I don't know, to use. And if they are used, there is a lot of paperwork that then has to follow from after the use of it. It's not something to be thought about very lightly at all. Even as a police officer using a gun, especially if you've killed someone. Yeah, I won't go too much further into that. Now, citizens themselves, if they want to get guns, has to go through quite a long, and it's quite an in-depth process to be able to get a license to purchase guns. I mean, you can't just purchase there's not just like gun shops just randomly willy-nilly everywhere. Definitely not to the extent that they are in the States. you know, to get a license is hard, and then to get a gun is, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. And I'd say most people that I personally know, and I'd be interesting to see if there was some statistics done. Most people, you know, thinking about, you know, obviously in New Zealand there's a lot less people live in rural areas than urban areas, but I feel like a lot of people that I know that have them are, or they've had them, or are into, you know, they're living in rural areas. So they might be farmers who have farmed animals, so they'll use them for that purpose. Sometimes they want to end the, as they say, put the other animal out of their misery. That's a topic for another day. Or they're into hunting, or if they're urban people, they are generally visiting rural areas a lot to go hunting. Obviously, as a vegan, you know, hunting, farming animals, that's not something that sits very well with me personally. And I feel like maybe if we didn't have any of those activities, then probably wouldn't even really, the gun use would be way down. But putting that aside, I'd say yes, you know, people do get killed with guns in New Zealand. And yes, New Zealand is a small population, but even when you're looking at some of the statistics, you know, per 100,000 people or per 100 people, I'd say surprisingly a lot of those deaths are either through people maybe misidentifying what it is that they're shooting when they go hunting, or people taking their lives sooner than, you know, they're exiting out of this world sooner than people were expecting. Excuse me. So, you know, I don't know whether the statistics is saying anything, but that's where, you know, surprisingly actually quite a few of the deaths by guns are those sort of things. Definitely really not mass shootings. Yeah, there probably was like one considered mass shooting in New Zealand years and years and years ago in a rural town. And I'm not meaning to, you know, make that like a small issue. But yeah, again, mental health issues, it all relates. And I guess what I really wanted to come to is that yes, problems unite people, and yes, solutions divide people. And, you know, it would be a huge change just on a state level, let alone a federal level. However, maybe it's a model to look at. Maybe what we're doing in New Zealand, or maybe what other countries that have a lot more strict gun laws are doing, you know, what they're doing with their laws, the way their culture and the way everything, obviously, like, you know, to get laws to change, there has to be a cultural change, and it has to be a, you know, shift in the way that people think about these things. But maybe looking at some of these other countries that are possibly doing a lot better could be a step forward, you know, because, you know, maybe just taking guns away from citizens is not enough. Maybe there also needs to be a step where it's more strict for the police, because, you know, there's a whole lot of, you know, as we know, there's a whole lot of people that are killed by police who, you know, did they need to be killed? I don't know. And that gets into a whole lot of racial issues, and that's a topic for another video. That's a video for another day. So yeah, that is basically it. I guess it's a bit of a ramble, but, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, this sort of information maybe get someone thinking a little bit differently about this. Like the way the US thinks about guns and the way New Zealand thinks about guns is very different, and you know, there'd be a lot of changes to be made to get the US where New Zealand is, and in no way, in shape or form, is New Zealand perfect, but possibly in the step in the right direction. I don't know. I mean, it's your opinion. You're welcome to share it. Share it in the description box. Gosh, keep saying it. Share that in the comment section down below. You know, we had discussions about it. Maybe share this video with someone that you think might resonate with this content, or get them thinking slightly differently about the issue. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you again soon, and I hope you've done something that makes you happy today.